What's up, everyone? We're back at it today with our picks on this Friday NCAA basketball slate for March 8th. Hit that thumbs up button to keep these daily videos coming out and subscribe so you get the earliest access to our daily picks. All of our picks are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. That's where you can get our top confidence bets and predictions on every major sport. Let us know in the comments any questions, opinions, or bets on today's college basketball slate, and let me know which teams you are on and why. I respond to every single comment. Don't miss the end of the video where we share our favorite bets of the day. Let's dive into our first game, Belmont versus Northern Iowa. The Missouri Valley Conference is moving right along. We saw Belmont get the win over Valparaiso, 86-61, so pretty big blowout for Belmont there. Well played by them. The Bruins are a solid offensive team that struggles a little bit on defense. Their rebounding also isn't amazing. Sure, they played well against Valparaiso. We expected them to dominate the boards in that one. They did not, however. They kind of got out-rebounded. There was a ton of rebound opportunities in this game, a lot of missed shots, a lot of offensive pace in this one. Belmont shot over 50% from the floor. We saw their bench look really good, so Belmont is definitely playing well coming into this game. Against Northern Iowa this season, they got a very early season win and then took a pretty significant loss. Belmont was at home for that loss. That was about halfway through the season, so they've had some time to think about that one. Northern Iowa comes into this game fresh off a win over SIU. It was a very convincing win, so they'll take that one. The Panthers are a pretty solid defensive team. Their offense isn't amazing, but they tend to kind of get the job done on the boards. It's not like they're a dominant rebounding team, though. They did hold their own with Southern Illinois in the rebounding battle. This is the first game of the Missouri Valley Conference tournament for Northern Iowa. Belmont didn't get that first round bye, so they had to play. Neither one of these teams have significant trends that favor them one way or the other against the spread or just across the board in general. Belmont is 16-15 against the spread this season. UNI is 15-15 against the spread this season. Give me Belmont and their high-powered offense on a neutral court in this one. I think they find a way to get the job done. They're the hotter team now after that blowout over Valparaiso. I think they find a way to get the win over Northern Iowa tonight. Next up, we're looking at the Citadel taking on Mercer. The Southern Conference tournament continues to heat up. We see the Citadel come into this game. They're struggling a little bit. They lost 2 in a row on their way in. Mercer, on the other hand, has won against Furnham their last time out, so they can feel pretty good about that. They've actually won 4 of their last 5 overall, including a win over the Citadel. Mercer has been the better team this season, generally speaking. Neither one of these squads have really been in the top of the Southern, but Mercer has definitely been a step up from the Citadel. The Citadel Bulldogs are not a good offensive team. Their defense is mediocre. Their rebounding isn't very good. They do have a go-to scorer in AJ Smith, who's putting up around 17 points per game, but we don't really think that's going to be enough in this one. Citadel has a bunch of good offensive options. Their scoring is a bit better. Their defense is a bit better. We like Mercer to get the win and cover. They're 16-11-1 against the spread this season. That's a pretty good number. That's enough to give us a little bit of a lean. Give me Mercer in this one. Next up, we've got Akron going against Western Michigan. Akron is playing for first place, coming off of a tough loss against EMU by a single point. They've been struggling a little bit down the stretch. They've gone 2-2 over their last 4, losing at Ohio and then against EMU. The Zips have been a pretty good team this year, as you could tell by the fact they're 13-4 in MAC play. They've got a great leading scorer in Enrique Freeman. He's a monster. He's shooting almost 60% from the field, and he's scoring almost 20 points per game. His offense is good, but their defense is even better. They're only giving up 65 points per game. That's kind of an elite number. Their rebounding has been pretty good. Everything really points to Akron playing well in this game. Eastern Michigan has been kind of a middle-of-the-road team in the MAC. They just lost at Bowling Green their last time out. They don't really have any great go-to offensive options. They are a very solid rebounding team, but their defense is terrible. They're giving up almost 75 points per game, which is pretty bad, especially in this matchup. We don't really like Western Michigan here. Akron is laying a lot of points, but we're going to go ahead and lay them. Akron is 5-7 against the spread on the road, which isn't great, but it's not like Western Michigan is great against the spread at home. And we see Akron in a bounce back spot, and they're playing for a share of first place in the conference, so give me Akron in this one. Next up, we're looking at Ohio taking on Miami, Ohio. The Ohio Bobcats come into this game fresh off of a 5th straight win. They've been playing great. They just blew out Buffalo. They're playing really well. This line that we're seeing with Ohio -2.5 really doesn't make any sense. This team is very, very good. Their offense is solid. Their rebounding isn't exactly amazing, but it's good enough for sure. Their defense is very good, and they're not going against a great opponent. Miami, Ohio is not really a very good team. They lost against Toledo their last time out, an absolute blowout. They did beat EMU before that, and they went on a little 3-game winning streak, but it was not against good teams, so that's not very impressive. Their rebounding is absolutely terrible. They have no really good go-to scorers. Defense isn't very good. Their offense offense is barely scoring more than 70 points per game. This is just not a good matchup for this team. I'm very confused about why this spread is this way. Maybe it's some sort of trap. Ohio is pretty decent against the spread on the road. We see Miami, Ohio is 7-5 against the spread at home, but that's not a big enough number to really justify this tiny spread. So give me Ohio -2.5 on the road in this one. I don't think we have any choice. We just have to take this one. If it's a trap, oh well, I guess we're trapped. Next up, we're looking at one of the marquee matchups of the day. We've got the VCU Rams going on the road to take on number 25 Dayton. VCU comes into this game fresh off back-to-back losses. Losing at Richmond isn't too embarrassing, but that game against Duquesne, we would have definitely thought they could have got the win in that one. The Rams play some very solid defense. They're a good defensive and rebounding team. They have a decent leading scorer in Max Shugla. This team is pretty solid up and down the roster. They are also very good on the road, which is something that could come into play in this game for sure. Dayton comes into this game struggling a little bit. I'm a little bit surprised they're even still ranked in the top 25, although clearly they're very much barely hanging on. Dayton does have a great leading scorer in Deron Holmes II. He's putting up over 20 points per game, shooting 55% from the field. That's insane. He's a great option. But in general, this squad has been struggling a little bit. They're a good defensive team. Their offense gets the job done, kind of. Their rebounding is a big concern, though. Losing at Loyola Chicago and at George Mason, I guess, isn't too embarrassing, but they did lose at VCU earlier this season, 49-47, in pretty much a rock fight. I think we could see a repeat of that one. It seems like Dayton struggles against physical play, and this is definitely going to be a physical game. VCU is 6-2 against the spread on the road. Dayton is 6-8 against the spread at home. Give me VCU and all these points. We'll definitely take them in this one. In the other big time game of the day, we see Boise State going on the road to take on number 21 San Diego State. Boise State comes into this game fresh off a, shocking to me at least, 10-point loss at home to the Nevada Wolfpack. Boise State has been one of those teams that's much better at home than they are on the road. They're a good offensive squad. They play some defense. They're a veteran team, so we kind of expect more from them than we've actually gotten. They do have a chance to play for the conference title or a share of the conference title if they can win this game, but they're going against a very tough opponent. San Diego State is undefeated at home this season. They just lost at UNLV in a very close one. This team can put up some points. They're very, very good defensively, and their real strength is on the boards. They're a long, athletic team. They can really crash the boards. They really, really get after it there. They did lose by 1 point at Boise State earlier this season, but that's not too big of a shock since Boise State's so good at home. This is a completely different situation, though. They're going on the road. Boise State is coming off a loss, so that worries me a little bit, but we see San Diego State is 8-4 against the spread at home. That is a fantastic home mark. I think they find a way to cover this 8 points. It seems like a little bit much, but we're definitely going with San Diego State -8 at home in this one. That's all the games we have time for today. It's a pretty short slate today in NCAA basketball action. Let us know in the comments what you think of these predictions. Thanks for watching. Click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com to see all of our top plays. There's going to be a link popping up here in just a second where you can see our NBA pick video from today. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more NCAA basketball action.